always so keen to know most about our own.
Bienvenue, welcome once again. Welcome once again to another live stream. Linked it. Oh, very good, yeah. To another live stream with my dear friend David Chernick and myself, the man with many purple hats, Gareth Wax. Today we're talking about pitching. No, not pitch slapping that people keep talking about. It's when is the right time when you're actually having an audience with your potential or even existing client. When is the time to pitch? When is the time when you actually talk about the product, the service, and what it can do for them, etc.? When is the right time? David, when is that right time?
Well, it's not when you think it is. Not when you think it is. You know when the right time is, but it's when.
Oh, you're very kind.
Not when most people think it is.
Have I told you about my Okie Kokie 2000? No, okay, sorry, go on, carry on.
I don't even want to go down that tangent. Most tangents I allow, but they have to be with consent.
I was pitching at the wrong time. That was all.
There you go. So look, so the topic, whenever we're talking to somebody about the stuff that we're selling, and we want to do a deal with somebody, maybe we've qualified them already. I mean, certainly you don't want to be pitching your, talking a lot about your product and your service and your offerings, before you've qualified at least.
Right.
Yeah. Can we just agree that, we've got to know that they're in the market for something, and we've got to know that, they've got the money for it, or the consideration. And the timing is right and all that kind of stuff. So that's just a qualification. But really, I find that there's a huge urgency for people to talk about that one topic they know most about themselves, their own offering, far too early in the conversation, before they've even established a need. It's difficult to hold back if you're used to talking about your offering quite a bit. Oh, have we got a money saving service for you? Or, have we got a form of an app that's going to transform your life? And, here's our credentials. Here's what it does. Here's how it saves you money. Here's how it makes you money. And it tends to fall on deaf ears because of a few different reasons. One of which is that until you've heard a lot more from the person that you're selling to, you don't know what language even to put it in. You don't know how to express the benefits. You don't know which components of your offering are the ones that are going to be of value to them, if any. And so we need to follow an agenda. We need to follow an agenda for a sales conversation. If we don't, then we'll be talking about our service way too early, and it'll just put them off. And it'll be difficult for you to get back to your agenda. And you will find, and this will be perhaps a moment when listeners will see themselves nodding. You'll find that you'll get to that time when you think that you've finished your pitch and you've sold your offering brilliantly, and they turn around and go, don't need it, mate. Or they'll hit you with all sorts of objections that you won't be able to overcome because you don't know what the value is to them.
So it can be really hard, though. It can be really hard because you're often bursting at the seams. Because let's say you're an excitable, enthusiastic salesman. I love excitable.
I've got just the thing. I've got just what it. Oh man,
you said you wanted more X. I just want to. Do you mind if I'm sorry to derail this conversation. I just want to talk about. Yeah,
man.
And the problem is, excitable puppy doesn't really sell.
That's right. So, but it's a little bit like, there's so much to do at the end. My late grandmother was wonderful at recipes, Middle Eastern recipes, which she grew up with. And I managed to pick up a few of these things. And most of them required add a bit of lemon juice right at the end, she would say, or a little bit of salt right at the end. There's quite a few things to do right at the end. And you know, pitching your service is a little bit like that. It's not necessarily right at the end, but it definitely has its place, and we'll work backwards from it. So in order for me to demonstrate the right place for it to go, because you know, the sales agenda of that conversation is a linear agenda. It follows an order: step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or however many. I mean, I like a 5-step process. But you know, there are different methodologies are available. You can look at value selling, you can look at spin and all of that kind of thing. But none of them are going to tell you to start talking about your product right at the beginning, other than for really a tease or a hook. So immediately before talking about your service, a couple of things need to have happened immediately before. One is you need to have heard from them that the thing that you're about to pitch actually is of value to them. Yeah, they're not going to have the ears for it unless they know that there's going to be some value in this.
It's amazing how critical that is. That you've got fixed it. I've seen this happen. The salesman got in their head so fixed that when you give them enough time, they're going to launch into what they're doing. They haven't yet worked out that what they're about to talk to you about is something you have absolutely no interest in.
It's very dangerous as well, because if you're into your product or service, I mean, I could talk for days about my offerings.
You can.
Right? I can. You can as well, Gareth. Come on. And most geeks can.
Oh, it's not about me, David.
And if you have any kind of product knowledge, you could do it as well, right? So, you know, I don't want to be spending an hour-long conversation talking about all of that stuff. It's going to pull the pants off anybody. So we need to be immediately before talking about our service, we need to have already established that there is value in it.
Absolutely.
But I can't talk about it straight after that unless before value has been addressed, I've also heard from them what in an ideal world would constitute a solution to them.
Right.
They needed to have articulated to me the solution that they would see in an ideal world, overcoming their what? Problem.
Well, I was going to say issue, but yes, okay.
I mean, I would say problem. It can be a goal, but the change that they're after.
But whatever it is that's stopping them getting to where they want to get to, that's what you're going to help them get past.
So really, it needs to be precursed by problem, and then the solution that they articulate, and then their confirmation that they recognize that there's some value in it, and then you can start talking about your pitch. But you're not going to be able to get to what the problem or the goal is until you've understood the overriding issue. Yeah, what is that issue?
You have to know what it is that's causing the stop in the first place.
Correct. So we've already got there 4 things before we have a chance to speak. You know, we're going to be chomping by the time we start talking about service, we and they need to be chomping at the bit. Come on, tell me, what is it? That's what we want. Okay. So it is issue, problem, or goal.
Right.
Solution. Their solution in their language.
Yeah.
Establishing that there's value in this. If you're able to have that solution to that problem, can you see how that will overcome this overriding issue or help?
Yes. And you need them to be with you. So they've got to be kind of going, nodding along and saying, yeah, that's absolutely what it is I need, or that's what I mean, before you can even start talking to them about what it is.
Right. And they'll only be nodding along if you're able to confirm back to them in their own words what they have said.
Having taken all those notes and repeated back to them the words of what they said in the first place. Who? Me?
So we've got 4 steps before you even get to our pitch. And guess what? By the time it comes to that 5th point of the agenda, the final point of the agenda, the product description that we're going to be offering is only going to be one of several things.
Right.
Yeah, It's the plan. The fifth part is what is in the plan in order for them to become a client. And the plan, yes, of course, it's going to require some sort of specification, which is your opportunity to talk about it. But there will be some other things like, I need you to be able to see my terms and conditions. Yeah.
Yes. And you need to have read through them, and you need to have agreed to the fundamental portions of it.
Those things.
Before we can do
other stuff from me as well. Probably they're going to want to see some credentials. Okay, you say that's what your product does, but if you've got anyone who'll back that up, you're going to want to know. They're going to want to know the price. I mean, what's the consideration? What are they going to have to do to get it?
It's critical, actually.
I might need to speak to someone. I got to speak to the boss about this. I've got to create a business plan. I'm going to need to see a proposal or a quote or something. There could be a dozen different things that we need to put on that plan of action, that tick box, stuff for them to do and stuff for you to do. And one of the things for you to do is to explain how it all works. What your product is. So
otherwise the danger, if you miss out any of these steps, the danger is you'll end up presenting your idea or pitching whatever your concept or service is, and they'll fall out way faster than they could ever fall in, because you've missed the critical point when you work out that they've got a budget for any of this, or that they're even interested in using that, or that they have that problem to resolve.
Correct. But you know who they're going to blame? They're going to blame marketing. They're going to go back to
marketing.
These guys weren't interested. You gave me the wrong leads.
What's it? You always say, there's a phrase that David always said: marketing ruin everything. So
ruin everything for everyone.
For everyone. Sorry.
That's a slightly different thing. That's when they jump on a bandwagon.
I know. It's still funny.
Does work. Pro tip: handwritten letters work these days. They've come back.
That's because I don't know how long that's going to be for, but it's the reason why is there used to be a flood of paper coming through our letterboxes. We used to be able to put the square receptacle straight underneath it and not bother with even reading it. Now it's an occasional pizza thing and maybe something from the council, but everything else is pretty much emails. So that email has now become the waste paper basket of doom. So that's why it will cut through, because and also, would you believe it? I mean, I did some work with a bunch of lawyers who were trying to promote themselves to a wider community, and they were just going to send around like business cards and pop them through there. So for God's sake, don't do that. Do something nice and gilt-edged, and asking them to come for an at-home where people could eat some wine and eat some cheese and drink some wine. That sort of thing.
We're doing some for a client. We're doing some video cards, which actually came to them as a tip to them from somebody called Tony Morris, who is a sales trainer.
Tony Morris.
I
haven't heard that name
in the estate agency business. But anyway, so we're doing some of those. So, but they're going to be highly personalized and very special. But the point is that none of that marketing stuff is to blame. If you find yourself having described your service in beautifully articulated, but it's fallen on deaf ears.
Well,
yes, the person wasn't ready to hear it. The thing is also, I mean, there's a lot of dangerous elements to doing that, because you might have an offering that can solve a number of different products. And if you sell it in a number of different problems, and if you sell it in terms where it is solving all of those different problems, but the person you're selling it to doesn't have all of those problems, they're just going to be like, no, I don't have that. I don't have that. No. Oh, yeah, maybe that bit. And it's going to prompt them to ask all sorts of questions that are perhaps irrelevant. And, it's just you're on a hiding to nothing. It's going to be very long-winded and painful exercise. So you need to follow an agenda. I don't mind what agenda it is, but it needs to be an agenda that delivers to you, in their words, what their overriding problem is. What's keeping them up at night? And what do they think is going to be the ideal way to make that problem go away?
All right. So, as usual, at this juncture, I'm going to ask my dear friend David to give us a summary of the main point of this. So, take note.
So, the right time to pitch your services, to talk about what's involved in your services, is after you've established that there's some value in doing so, which is after they have told you in an ideal world what it would take to overcome their problems, which is after finding out what those problems are, which is after figuring out what the background is, that overall issue.
That's the order, guys. As usual, thank you so much, David, for taking the time out to talk about modern sales. We always banging on about something or other, but actually, we've now collected together all of the old ones, and we'll be reissuing them to a channel. So watch that out. I will announce that formally, probably at the beginning of next week.
Oh, wow.
And,
okay, cool.
And I know it's come along. I got Angara to actually do most of the work. It's not me. And I'm busy about to meet up with him to talk about exactly that. So, guys, until next week, watch out. There's always new tidbits and useful information on this channel. But until next week, try and get some Sun Factor 50 on. Keep well and preserve that mental health. Bye-bye now.
Ciao, ciao.